it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Sunday, June 25th. So today we do have the moon, who has been in Virgo energy, helping us to kind of create some order, really restructure a couple of things, focus in on the smaller details of the greater, grander plan, shifting from this earthy energy fueled by Mercury, of course. So again, with a lot of mental processing, we're shifting into Libran energy. And this is going to be a very interesting shift as we now focus on, first of all, relationships. But second of all, we're looking at trying to find some balance. That's what that Libran energy is. But heads up, we find balance through exploring the extremes. And that's probably the toughest part of this Libran energy, is that we have to sit in the extremes in order to realize where it is that we are living in extremes, in order for us to realize where we have to kind of pull the reins back and make an extra effort to stabilize, to balance, to find a common middle ground. So we're definitely going to be feeling that shift. And of course, we are also in the very last day of Mercury being in his place of power in Gemini energy. And so there is going to be a lot of mental pressure. Of course, we are no strangers to this pressure, as we just came out of Gemini season, and we are going to have one last hurrah, if you will, while Mercury kind of cleans up those particular life lessons of being in Gemini energy. And of course, he just got dethroned in his rulership from Gemini season, because now we're in Cancer season. And so there's like this extra oomph of pressure that we're really going to need to feel in our mental plane in order to figure out what isn't working, so that we can try and solve it. And again, we're moving out of the problem-solving energy of Virgo into the achieving balance through compromise and negotiation in this Libran energy. So there are 11 different aspects here today. 10 of them are going to involve the moon. The moon is going to make an interaction with Mars. So we're still in this Virgo energy at this point. We are still very direct in this point, which means that we are mentally processing how it is that we need to get inspired, get motivated, get a little bit more disciplined in focusing in on what needs to be done. This is kind of where the plan and the strategy comes into play. We are prepping ourselves to take some action, which Mars is very happy about. But of course, the moon in Virgo needs us to take a logical, practical approach to how it is that we are going to move forward. We do need to kind of identify what needs our attention the most. The moon will then trine with Uranus. Uranus, being the great awakener in this Taurus energy, has been showing us where it is that we're overly attached, kind of stuck in a rut, if you will, in our physical realms where routines, relationships, money matters are concerned. The moon in Virgo is really helping us to see where it is that change is needed the most, and mostly where it is that a change in perspective, a change in attitude is needed the most, in order for us to see what actually is falling apart and what it is that we're actually being called to pursue. This should provide us a little bit of clarity. This is a couple of puzzle pieces getting thrown our way that we can piece together and kind of start seeing the greater, grander vision, dream, picture be revealed to us. The moon will then interact with Jupiter, who, of course, is about growth and expansion in this Taurus energy, setting us up for the next year of really building a solid foundation in our physical realm where relationships and money matters are concerned, really creating new opportunities for us to really grow and improve in those particular areas of our lives as well. And so with this particular energy kind of popping off, what we get here is Jupiter focusing on the end goal, if you will, focusing on the forest, and the moon in Virgo realizing that there is no forest without each individual tree. So this is definitely a dynamic where we're kind of, allowing ourselves to see the greater, grander vision of where it is that we would like to arrive at, but then understand the smaller details that are needed to be put together in a logical, practical way on a daily basis that will, of course, eventually lead us into the vision, to the dream, to the goal that we're looking to manifest. The moon will then interact with the true node, the north node, who again is in this Taurus energy. So we get some earth on earth action here. And of course, the true node is trying to get us on the right path to our next mission, to our next purpose, to our next level of potential. And because this is a positive interaction, it does kind of feel like we are starting to piece together where it is that we are kind of making some progress, where we are seeing some growth, where it is that we are pushing the boundaries of our current circumstances in order for us to see what exactly could be on the other side of our fears, our doubts, our insecurities. The moon is going to get into the boxing ring with Mercury, and Mercury rules over the Virgo energy that the moon is currently in, and Mercury's in his place of power in this Gemini energy. So a square means that there is a tension, there is a conflict going on between our heart and our head, the moon being our heart space, Mercury being our head space. We tend to kind of, I'm going to say, fixate on the past where the moon is concerned. And so in this Virgo energy, we're recognizing how it is that we actually created the mess of the circumstance that we're currently in, how we allowed our emotions to get so out of whack. And of course, Mercury in Gemini isn't so connected to the emotional realm. We're kind of thinking logically, we're thinking practically, we kind of close the door off to emotions, but we have to kind of feel it. You hear me say this all the time. You have to feel it in order to heal it. And that's what the moon in Virgo is attempting to do. But of course, Mercury being in Gemini energy doesn't really want to feel anything. We would rather compartmentalize our feelings and take a intellectual approach to sorting through what is going on in our inner realm. And sometimes that just doesn't work. Here's where things get interesting. The moon in Virgo is going to sit across from, totally oppose Neptune, my apologies, Neptune, who is in Pisces energy. So Pisces energy, Virgo energy sits across from each other in the zodiac wheel. The Virgo energy, it is the healing axis that it shares with the Pisces energy. The Virgo energy focuses in on the physical realm, the physical body, the mental health, the intellectual part of our being, while the Neptune energy, the Pisces energy that Neptune's currently in, is the emotional and spiritual realm. And so what we get here is an interesting dynamic that could go one of two ways. First of all, we have to understand that the Pisces energy is boundless. Everything kind of ebbs and flows. And the Neptune being in Pisces energy is all about our higher selves, our spiritual selves, our imagination, our creativity. But things tend to get overwhelming because there's no parameters, no boundaries, no real focus in that Pisces energy. While the moon in Virgo has so many boundaries, so many parameters, that sometimes we don't let imagination be a factor at all. We're really reliant on our logical, practical mind space. So here's the thing. Part of us wants to get organized. Part of us wants to lean into logic and practicality. Part of us really wants to align with improvement and growth and being efficient in making moves and actually seeing that progress move forward. The Neptune energy, though, is going to kind of blur the lines. It's going to add confusion, going to blur our communication skills, going to kind of blur the actual facts of the situation, because we tend to be in this imaginary fantasy land. And so our perceptions are off. We tend to get a little bit confused. There is this divide between wanting to be idealistic and practical because of that Virgo energy, but then also be kind of fought in our inner realm because we need to have some wishful thinking. We need to let imagination in. We need to lean into fantasy in order to create a vision and a dream outside of the current circumstances that we're in that we actually want to manifest. And so what happens here is that we're not able to focus in on the smaller details. We're not able to kind of focus on what is, because we are looking at things for the way that we want them to be and not the way that they actually are. And so there is kind of this inner back and forth that takes place that doesn't really feel that good. And we're going to have this energy be even more amplified later in the day, which I haven't got to yet, when Mercury squares off with Neptune as well, because this is like the mental plane, the logical, practical side of our mental plane, kind of going at odds, if you will, with our intuition, with our spiritual selves, with our imagination. But the moon opposing Neptune kind of opens up this wound where we're starting to feel overwhelmed. We're starting to not be able to focus in on our emotions, on the craziness, on what it is that we are attempting to heal and solve with the moon in Virgo energy. So then the moon goes ahead and trines, which is a beautiful energy, with Pluto. Pluto's the great transformer who is retrograde in this Capricorn energy. So again, we get some earth on earth energies here. And you'll know by listening to me in previous rants that, the Virgo energy and Pluto work very well together because both of them are kind of doing a deep dive in the psyche, in the mental plane to kind of unearth the blockages, the challenges, where it is that we're getting kind of caught up, where we're too fixated on things, if you will. And so emotionally speaking, there is a change. There is a shift in our perception, in our understanding, in our mood, in our attitude for the better. We are kind of understanding a different perspective, and from that gaining a little bit of empowerment from that. And it happens in such a way that we're feeling really good, we're feeling positive. And then, like I said, Mercury in Gemini energy, in the final degrees of Gemini energy, which is always very intense anyways, gets into the boxing ring, squares off with Neptune, really kind of, I'm going to say, further intensifying the earlier aspect that we just talked about with the moon opposing Neptune. And so this is like cluster effing our heads. We're having a hard time kind of aligning with logic and practicality. We're having a hard time aligning with our intuition and our imagination. There is this divide, and we are going to feel like the inner battle of which part of us, the lower level intellect or the higher level intellect, which one is actually going to win, which one is actually going to lead us in making some changes, in seeing the growth and seeing some progress and moving forward. It's at this point that the moon is going to shift into that Libran energy. We definitely feel lighter in this Libran energy because, of course, Virgo energy is an earth energy. So air energies always kind of bring a lightness to the whole vibe. And because Libran energy likes to kind of stay in the shallow end of our emotions, we aren't trying to go too deep. I think we did enough of a deep dive in this Virgo energy to last us for a little bit. But with the moon now in Libran energy, again, we're solely focused on balance, on compromise, on restoring peace and harmony to our lives. We are very focused on our relationships. We just want to have fun. We're a little bit more of a chatty Cathy, if you will. And this is just setting us up for the next couple of days of exploration on what it is that we are going to need to be doing and changing in our personal relationships. And also just keep in mind that we are building towards the first quarter moon in Libran energy that will take place in the wee hours Monday morning. And that, of course, is a action point, a pivotal point of realizing what it is that we do have to kind of take action on, what it is that we need to change, what it is that we need to pursue in order for us to achieve that peace, harmony, and balance. So the moon in Libra then goes ahead and interacts with the North Node. That, of course, is our soul path, our destiny point. And what we're doing here is we're taking a different approach, a different perspective to the path, to the plan, to the strategy, and moving forward. Because in Libran energy, we're able to see both sides of the coin. And having a different perspective emerge, having a different understanding emerge, kind of being able to look at things with a fresh set of eyes is really doing us a great service at this particular point, because there are going to be little details emerge that we wouldn't have previously seen because, again, we were very fixated, if you will, in our inner realm with the moon being in Virgo energy, really in the mental plane, really in our emotions, what's going on inside of us, while the Libran energy tends to kind of be a little bit more, I'm going to say, keen on looking outside of that inner focus in order to gain insight where we were kind of too close to the topic and theme to see certain details emerge. So we are making some progress there by just kind of seeing a choice point emerge and having a different take, a different perspective, a different understanding on some of the plans, some of the solutions that we would have arrived at over the last couple of days with the moon being in Virgo energy. The moon in Libra will then make a positive interaction with Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings. And what I like about this is that Libran energy that the moon is in and Taurus energy that Jupiter is in, both of them are ruled over by Venus. And so this is, and again, keep in mind, Venus is in Leo energy, the heart and soul of the zodiac. So there's a lot of heart activations going on. We do really have to get to the nitty gritty truth of what it is that our heart wants, needs, and desires. And if that means recognizing where it is that our heart isn't getting what it is that we want, need, and desire, then changes are going to need to be made. So the moon in Libran energy, kind of interacting with Jupiter in this way, is going to bring a burst of confidence, a burst of optimism, a burst of, let's say, hopeful and wishful thinking, because again, we're trying to kind of lighten the vibe, especially coming out of that earth energy that we were in with the moon in Virgo. So what we're getting here is we're kind of hyping ourselves up, we're magnifying our emotions, we're turning the volume all the way up on our inner realm where it is that the extremes are being illuminated so that we can attempt to balance those extremes out. The last thing that we got going on here today is the moon in Libra, semi-squaring, creating a little bit of a tension and a conflict with its ruler, Venus, who, as I previously mentioned, in the heart and soul of the zodiac in Leo energy. This is going to illuminate where things aren't so happy, where we're not having so much fun, where there's no joy, where there's no pleasure, where there's no safety, security, stability, especially in our relationships. And again, just a heads up, Venus will be going retrograde, which is going to have a major impact on relationships. So right now it's kind of like we're picking apart what it is that we're not happy with, what it is that we want, need, and desire. We're starting to really be able to articulate within ourselves where it is that we just want more from our partners, from our friends, from our family, from our experience here in this physical realm. And again, we have to be illuminated to what isn't working in order for us to actively pursue a solution to make things right.